against Combs accuses him of using employees of his business endeavors, including record labels, a recording studio, an apparel line.
The long-awaited Diddy trial has finally kicked off, and straight off the bat, several twists are already surfacing. As Diddy faces a federal trial with explosive testimony from stars, insiders, and survivors, one thing becomes clear. This isn't just a reckoning for one man, it's a reckoning for an entire industry.
Again, viewer discretion is advised here, as jury selection is set to begin tomorrow in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs, with testimony slated to start the following week.
The courtroom buzzed with tension as Sean Diddy Combs entered, his usual swagger replaced by a subdued demeanor. This was day one of jury selection in a trial that had already captured global attention, a case that could redefine his legacy. The charges were severe, and with prosecutors alleging he'd built a criminal enterprise within his empire to exploit women. The weight of the allegations was evident in the graying of his hair and the unshaven goatee, physical markers of the stress that had mounted since his arrest in September 2024.
Sean Diddy Combs will be in Manhattan federal court today for the start of his sex trafficking and racketeering trial.
The prosecution team, entirely female, was a deliberate choice, signaling their strategy to connect with the alleged victims. Women who claimed they'd been manipulated, threatened, and coerced into participating in what court documents described as elaborate performances. Leading the charge was Marie Comey, a formidable prosecutor with a reputation for taking down high-profile predators, including Ghislaine Maxwell. Her presence alone sent a clear message. This wasn't just about Diddy, it was about power, accountability, and the systems that enabled it.
On the other hand, the defense is going to be thinking, okay, well, wait a minute, this potential juror, they sympathize with women. They might be a little too sympathetic.
Jury selection proved to be a spectacle in itself. Over 150 potential jurors filed into the courtroom, their backgrounds as varied as the city itself. They were asked about their knowledge of celebrities, Kanye West, Michael B. Jordan, even Harry Potter actor Mike Myers, names that might surface during testimony. One juror, a 30-year-old woman, admitted to stealing a wand from Harry Potter World, a confession that drew chuckles from the gallery. Another revealed her uncle had been charged with, while a third spoke of enduring workplace sexual harassment. The candor was striking, a reminder that behind the legal formalities, this case was about real lives and trauma. Diddy's defense team, meanwhile, worked to paint him as a man eager to clear his name. They'd pushed for a speedy trial, a gamble that suggested confidence in their ability to dismantle the prosecution's narrative, but cracks in their client's composure were visible. During a break, Diddy leaned toward his attorney and muttered, "I'm a little nervous," a rare admission from a man known for his unshakable bravado. It was a moment that humanized him, but also underscored the stakes. If convicted, he faced decades behind bars, possibly even life. Outside the courtroom, the media frenzy mirrored the trial's gravity. TMZ Live dissected every detail, from the all-female prosecution team to the strategic implications of Diddy's wardrobe choices. The case had become a cultural flashpoint, sparking debates about celebrity impunity and the Me Too movement's unfinished business. Meanwhile, other headlines: John Elway's tragic golf cart accident, Prince Harry's plea for family reconciliation, even Kim Kardashian's tropical getaway paled in comparison. The world was fixated on Diddy, and the question hanging over it all: would he walk free, or would this trial be the downfall of a hip-hop legend?
After rejecting a plea deal, the stakes are even higher for Sean Diddy Combs as his criminal trial begins. If convicted on the racketeering charge that he used his business to sexually abuse and exploit women, he could face life in prison. He says all the sexual encounters were consensual and part of a swinger lifestyle. That's why jury selection is so important, and Diddy told the judge that he's feeling a little nervous about it. Nearly every juror so far has watched news or social media coverage of the case, and many have also seen the infamous CCTV footage of Diddy appearing to kick and beat his former partner, the R&B singer Cassie Ventura. And underscoring how high profile this trial is going to be, many celebrity names have already been mentioned, including the rapper Kid Cudi, who supported Cassie when she made her allegations against Diddy. The judge is sussing out the prospective jurors' answers to ensure they can be impartial. He'll need 12 jurors and 6 alternates to sit and hear the evidence and, of course, to try to reach a unanimous verdict.
The jury pool's diversity was both a challenge and a wild card. Young, old, black, white, wealthy, working class, they represented a cross-section of society, each bringing their own biases and life experiences. Some had seen the documentaries detailing Diddy's alleged crimes. Others claimed they could set aside what they'd heard and focus solely on the evidence. The defense eyed certain jurors warily, particularly those who'd spoken of personal encounters with sexual violence. The prosecution, on the other hand, seemed to welcome their presence, betting that empathy for the victims would outweigh any celebrity worship. As the day wore on, the legal team sparred over who would stay and who would go. One juror, an HBO employee, admitted finding the leaked CNN footage of Diddy disturbing, but insisted she could remain impartial. The judge allowed her to stay, a decision that drew a subtle frown from Diddy. Another juror, dismissed for cause, had confessed to liking a social media post joking about the case. A reminder of how hard it would be to find 12 people untouched by the media storm. Behind the scenes, the case's ripple effects were spreading. Speculation swirled about which celebrities might be called to testify. Would Cassie Ventura, Diddy's ex, and the alleged victim at the heart of one charge take the stand? Would Kanye West, who'd reportedly called Diddy in jail, be dragged into the fray? And what of Al B? Sure, the R&B singer whose memoir, Do You Believe Me, hinted at dark secrets about Diddy's inner circle? The trial wasn't just a legal proceeding, it was a reckoning, one that threatened to expose the underbelly of an industry built on power and excess.
Convicted on all charges, which include racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transporting people across state lines to engage. Combs faces a possible sentence of decades in prison.
By the end of the first day, the courtroom had whittled down the pool, but the real work was just beginning. The prosecution needed jurors who'd see the pattern. The alleged manipulation, the coercion, the way Diddy's empire might have been a front for something far darker. The defense, meanwhile, sought those who'd question the victims' motives, who'd wonder why they'd waited so long to come forward. It was a high-stakes chess match, and every juror seated would shape the outcome. As Diddy left the courtroom, his entourage flanking him, the cameras caught a fleeting expression, something between exhaustion and defiance. The trial was moving fast, faster than anyone had anticipated. In just days, opening statements would begin, and the world would hear, in brutal detail, the allegations that could end his reign. But for now, the question lingered. Was this the beginning of his redemption or the end of his empire? The answer lay in the hands of 12 strangers and the system they were about to navigate. The second day of jury selection unfolded like a high-stakes Hollywood drama, with celebrity names dropping as frequently as legal objections. The prosecution's witness list had transformed into a who's who of the entertainment industry, revealing how deeply interconnected Diddy's alleged crimes were with the glittering world of A-list parties and backroom deals. As potential jurors filed in, even the most jaded courtroom observers perked up when prosecutors confirmed they planned to call not just industry insiders, but household names who had orbited Diddy's world for decades. The morning began with a bombshell revelation that sent shockwaves through the legal teams. Text messages between Diddy and music producer Dallas Austin discussing what prosecutors characterized as logistics for talent recruitment for private events. The defense immediately objected, arguing these were taken out of context from normal industry networking, but the damage was done. This opened the floodgates for what would become a day dominated by celebrity connections, with the judge frequently calling for sidebar conferences as yet another famous name entered the proceedings. TMZ would later report that investigators had compiled a 27-page document just tracking Diddy's communications with various celebrities over the past 15 years. Mid-morning, the prosecution dropped another bombshell. They intended to call actor and comedian Mike Myers to testify about attending parties at Diddy's various homes, while the exact nature of his testimony remained under seal. Legal analysts speculated it might relate to establishing patterns of behavior or witness credibility. The defense team went into immediate damage control, arguing vehemently that Myers' celebrity status would unfairly influence jurors. "This isn't about testimony, it's about star power," Geragos protested, his voice rising in uncharacteristic frustration. The judge ultimately ruled Myers could be called, but with strict limitations on what he could discuss. The celebrity connections extended to the jury pool itself in ways that highlighted just how incestuous the entertainment industry could be. One potential juror, a freelance music journalist, was dismissed after admitting she'd interviewed Cassie Ventura for a magazine profile in 2018. Another was kept despite having worked as a personal trainer for Lori Harvey, creating a potential connection to Michael B. Jordan through their past relationship. The defense team grew increasingly agitated, at one point requesting the judge question a juror about whether she'd ever attended a Bad Boy Records anniversary party after recognizing a familiar face in the audience section. As lunch recess approached, the prosecution hinted at their most explosive celebrity connection yet. They had obtained sworn statements from two former assistants to the late Kim Porter about phone calls and visits from various stars in the days leading up to her death. While the judge cautioned this might never be admitted as evidence, the mere mention sent reporters scrambling for their phones. By the time court reconvened, Kim Porter was trending on Twitter, with fans digging up old photos of Porter with everyone from Diddy to Usher to Drea Michelle. The afternoon session descended into near chaos when defense attorneys revealed they'd been blindsided by prosecution plans to introduce testimony about Diddy's famous 4th of July white parties in the Hamptons. These events, attended by everyone from Martha Stewart to Leonardo DiCaprio, according to old social media posts, were being framed by prosecutors as examples of how Diddy used his celebrity to create an atmosphere where illegal activities could flourish unnoticed. The defense counter-argued this was pure character, with Geragos thundering, "They want to convict my client for throwing great parties." Perhaps most damaging were the rumors swirling about potential testimony from younger artists. While no names were confirmed in court, legal insiders whispered that prosecutors had been interviewing several SoundCloud rappers and Instagram models who claimed they'd been introduced to Diddy through mutual celebrity connections. These witnesses, if called, could allegedly speak to recruitment tactics and the powerful allure of celebrity access. Testimony the defense would likely attack as bitter opportunism from failed artists.
The first day of jury selection has concluded in Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy trial. So far, 19 jurors have been qualified. The magic number here is 45 because once the panel reaches that number, the prosecutions and Combs' defense lawyers will use their strikes to get this group down to 12 jurors and a number of alternates. Here's what we know about those who have qualified so far. 2 women have said that they have been sexually assaulted decades ago in the past. They were allowed to continue on. And another woman who said that she had once been arrested for shoplifting for stealing a wand from Harry Potter's world at Universal Studios, also in that panel. Several jurors were dismissed, including one who had seen that hotel surveillance video. She had called it damning evidence, and for that reason, the judge had excused her from the panel. Jury selection will continue Tuesday morning until they get to the magic number 45 and go through those strikes. The judge thinks that will happen this week.
The judge seemed weary, remarking off the record that he'd never seen a case where so many potential jurors had some degree of separation from the principal players. The prosecution appeared energized by these connections, while the defense looked increasingly concerned about their ability to find an impartial jury in a city where entertainment industry ties ran so deep. Outside the courtroom, the media frenzy reached new heights. Paparazzi staked out hotels frequented by potential celebrity witnesses. Podcasters live-streamed breaking updates from the courthouse steps. Even normally staid legal analysts found themselves discussing the implications of Kanye West's recent social media activity as rumors swirled about whether he'd been served with a subpoena. The case had clearly transcended a simple criminal trial, becoming instead a referendum on celebrity culture itself. As Diddy left the courthouse that evening, the weight of these celebrity connections seemed to hang heavy on him. Gone was the defiant smirk from earlier proceedings. In its place was a grim determination as he pushed through a media scrum that included 3 reality TV crews and a TikToker with 2 million followers. His legal team's usual confident statements to press were replaced by terse no comments, a telling shift in strategy as they prepared for what promised to be weeks of testimony that would expose the dark underbelly of fame, fortune, and the music industry's open secrets. The trial hadn't even properly begun, and already it was clear this wouldn't just decide Diddy's fate. It would expose the machinery of celebrity itself to unprecedented scrutiny. This trial was never just about Diddy. It's about the culture that let abuse hide in plain sight. Whether convicted or acquitted, the testimony has already shattered his untouchable image and exposed the dark side of fame. Survivors spoke, celebrities squirmed, and the world saw how power really works behind closed doors. The verdict? That's just the beginning. The reckoning is here.